Welcome back to the Weekend Ball slash Canada Hoops podcast. We're here together, Alex Adams and Maddie Ireland and I. We're here, post game in my really cheap Vegas hotel with Maddie, and so this is a bit of a we're
So
trying to
it's okay. We're having fun.
we're having fun. We're having fun. Don't mind how we look. And I think that's probably what Canada basketball fans are feeling. Not loving the look of their team tonight, but against the USA. And what was just your initial thoughts on that game and kind of what went wrong, and then maybe what are some takeaways Canada can go and take into going to Europe and into the Olympics.
I mean, the result wasn't unexpected, right? I think Jordy Fernandez talked about, you know, wanting to kind of have some different rotations out there. We saw that. He went 10 guys deep really quickly. Shea and Jamal didn't play a ton in that first half. Jordy stressed that was kind of the goal in this game. They weren't trying to win at all, and they just want to kind of get a sense of, some of their groups out there on the floor. And then in his post-game press conference, he talked about just, he was disappointed with the execution and the efficiency of the guys, not the result. Just thought they didn't play well overall, right? And you're gonna have a situation tonight. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander didn't shoot well. Jamal Murray didn't shoot well, and that's not going to happen every game by any means, right? So, but yeah, just a lot. I'm sure a lot of you watched it on TV. It was a great night. The arena was super hyped. USA Basketball put on a great show, and there was a lot of Canadian fans there.
There was
A lot,
a lot of Dillon Brooks boos at the same
a
time.
lot of boos for DB for sure. And when the team hit the floor, there was a ton of boos, but just a really cool night. It'd be interesting to see where the team goes from here. This is, the first step, and obviously the showcase, and everyone's really excited for it. But now they're going to go to France and get acclimated, get settled over there. The team is really looking forward to that. They've stressed that, especially tonight after what's been a whirlwind, right?
Yeah, Kelly Olynyk said that to both of us, just how much like they've kind of been in a whirlwind since starting camp and then coming to Vegas, and now they're going out again. And so I think it will be good for this team to finally, get maybe get settled in France, not have to move hopefully until August 10th for the gold medal final.
Right.
And I think you talked about what Jordy said, and I think that's a fair assessment by Jordy in terms of they it's not about the result. Who it would have been nice if Canada beat the USA in Vegas. I'm not gonna lie, and I'm sure many people felt that way too. But it wasn't really about the result. It was about the way they played. Great first quarter, pretty bad second, third, and the fourth wasn't really about anything. Just because the game had been gone out of hand. But I think Fernandez was interesting that he played his bench. He played his five starters and then subbed them out and played the five the bench unit as a whole. And I don't think we're gonna see that a lot in Paris and Lille. But I don't know. He did do that in short spurts at the World Cup where he played.
Right.
People might remember Zach Edey against the U.S. and the U.S. scored like 12 points in 2 minutes. So
Yeah.
he did those types of moves where he just go all starters and then all bench. But I still think just with the more depth on this team that we won't be seeing that as much.
Yeah, and like it was cool just at the end to see everybody get minutes and play. People that have played a lot for the program. The scrub boys got in and Melvin Edgem, Kevin Gelly. So, just the camp, starting right in Toronto down to Vegas has been a process for everybody. And so it's nice to see some guys get rewarded, and that was probably going to happen anyway, regardless. I'm sure Jordy figured that was in the cards, and it'll be. I think it's important to stress, like we saw rotations tonight that maybe didn't necessarily make a lot of sense, and groupings of players together. I know you and I talked about during the game, like we're sitting in press row that we want to see more of like a Dwight Powell, maybe Trey Lyles
Mhm.
combo
I like that.
up front in the paint just for maybe a little strength and size and rim protection defensively. And you could also maybe slot in more of Ken Birch in that as well too, because I thought he was
You like, yeah.
pretty strong in his minutes. So um, and you know, in bigger games and bigger situations, you're gonna just not see these groupings, right? So it's a
Mhm.
showcase game. We saw what maybe Jordy wanted to experiment with, and yeah, it's gonna be an interesting time moving forward in this window for Lille and Paris, and you know what they're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, I forgot to say the score, so it's 84-70 for the US. But, I think what stood out to me, and I tweeted about it midway through the game, was Canada. I think they were down 50-45, and Shea and Jamal were 3 of 13, right?
Right.
And, as good as we can talk about this Canadian team and the depth and the bench, and, obviously they don't have the bench like the USA, bringing Jason Tatum, Anthony Edwards, Anthony Davis off the bench,
Right.
3 All-Stars. Um, at the same time, if your best players don't play well, it's hard to win a lot of games, and especially against the US. So um, I think I'm still a bit worried about Murray. I think he still looks a bit like he did in the playoffs, where he seemed like he was dealing with a nagging injury. Drew Holiday was unbelievable tonight with
Yeah.
just amazing defensive pressure, and he caused Shea havoc. And he might be one of the best defenders you can actually throw on Shea, just because he's tall, just tall enough, and he's so quick and so good with his hands. And he really made Shea take some tougher shots for Shea's standards. He still made a couple really tough shots at the same time, which,
Right.
that's what superstars do. But at the same time, I think you really saw the size and the lack thereof really exposed. Bam and AD just demolished Trey Lyles and Kelly Olynyk on multiple possessions, getting offensive rebounds, creating fouls, and kind of let the game slide as soon as that second unit came in. And then that's when the US went on their 12-2 run to kind of bridge the end of the first and start of the second quarter. So, yeah, that's something that Canada can't really fix.
Right.
Although I do think I wonder about Kem Birch, and I also wonder about Kelly Olynyk, because he played well, but just defensively, especially against a team like the US, he was just getting cooked on possession after possession.
Well, and we saw Jordy go away from Kelly a little bit defensively last summer, like in moments too. So I think that's, you know, something that, you know, the coaching staff is aware of too. And obviously Kelly is too, right? So he's not going to be a guy that complains by any means. He's one of the captains and leaders in that sense. So yeah, I think, you know, maybe we do see a lot of Kevin Birch down the road in game just for a little bit of toughness and size and
Yeah.
grit um and I think, you know, he had good moments tonight, like I said, and uh he's a total pro. He played in some great leagues all over the world, including the NBA, obviously. So yeah, you know, like the attention around the program lately has been a lot of fun, and there was a lot of excitement today at shoot around leading up to the game, just because the final 12 for Lille and Paris had been announced. So the program, you know, Rowan Barrett, Jordy Fernandez were fielding questions about that. You can see that there was a little bit more of a intensity with the players today at shoot around
Hmm.
this morning at T-Mobile. And so, you know, the excitement and the hype for the game was definitely well deserved. And, you know, I think it's the first game, like I said, and I did like some of the groupings in stretches where um, I think they had Lou, Andrew Nemhard, Nikhil out there, and I believe even Trey. And they were pretty quick and
Yeah.
moving around and switching and guarding. So, you know, do we see that grouping a lot? Probably not, but yeah, you know, just interesting to see what they're looking to do and you know how the players will adapt to and you know improve performances on tonight.
We don't have a glass with us, but I'd raise, glass half full a little bit. And I'll be, instead of being a Debbie Downer, I'm gonna try to bring some positives. And the positive was their start,
Yeah.
really good. You could tell the cohesion. Guys were finding each other for, it wasn't just like, okay, first, we go through our first action, then go to our second action, get to our third, and then we get a good shot, right? And that happened on multiple possessions. And you could really tell the guys who were in Jakarta had that chemistry. Jamal Murray was a bit outside, but Brooks, RJ, Shea, you could tell they had played together, and Powell, sorry.
Right.
And at the same time, the bench really let them down. And if this game was the Olympic final or the semifinal or whatever the case may be, and Canada was playing the US, I'd imagine we'd see much more Jamal Murray and SGA, and that group had essentially led Canada to that 7 point lead after the first quarter, right, against the USA. And I thought the USA definitely grew into the game at the same time.
Yeah.
And you could see that in the start to the second half where the starters carrying back. It was a bit, but it was still a pretty even game. And so if you're gonna, be a bit more positive and optimistic, I think when Canada played their best lineup, they weren't too bad. They weren't that far away. But when Canada brings on no offense to these players, but Lou Dort, Nikhil, Trey Lyles, and Team USA brings on Anthony Davis, Jason Tatum, and Anthony Edwards. Yeah, it's not the same battle, right? And so I think that's something where depth matters, but at the same time, it's not about who has the best collection of talent, is who wins the basketball game, and there can only be five guys on the court at once. So I think in a sense that actually benefits Canada, where if Shea, Jamal, RJ, Dillon are playing the majority, and I thought they played really well together, and that's a good sign as well going forward.
Yeah, the start was fun to watch, and you could tell the guys were really motivated. Like they were getting booed coming on the floor. Dylan got booed very hard when he got announced and introduced, and um, listen, I think that fueled him a little bit. Shea was kind of smiling at it.
Yeah, his
Let's
first shot of
yeah,
the game.
let's do this right, and Dylan hit the first shot, and um, the start looked really promising, right? So lots to build on, and I thought post game Jordy just referenced the end goal of what they're trying to do here. And I thought he did a really good job just touching on that and speaking about it. And uh, I feel like they're in a good spot. RJ was sitting alongside Jordy and says the same thing, where like, look, we know what this takes um, to get our goal done here, and they are looking forward to getting overseas and kind of getting together. You're only with your team and your group and your program over there. You bond. You play a lot of cards. They love to do that.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be good. And just to kind of give you everyone that's listening or watching a sense of the few days here was a lot of energy and excitement with the program, and hats off to Canada basketball and all their staff to do this game and jump in on the showcase with USA, and um, really great event, great turnout.
We should maybe kind of talk about the end of the game, and kind of on that note, because we were very lucky. It felt like we were in a movie or we were at some all-star game, because it
Right.
felt like every big NBA person outside of maybe Woj was at this event. We came in the first day. Kamala Harris is there today at the game. Barack Obama was there, so we have royalty and present. A president and a vice president. You walk in the gym and it's obviously all the USA players, but you just see Carmelo Anthony. We're walking up to USA practice. Carmelo Anthony gets out with his kids. Right. You see Chauncey Billups, Derek Fisher, Rick Carlisle's at Canada practice with Anthony Bennett. Today we walk in and I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's Mark Dagno. I can't say, the OKC coach.
Right.
He's there, comes in for Canada practice. I'm missing a bunch of things. There was a bunch. Jalen Rose was there. Like it just, and then after the game, you're in the scrums. you see JJ Redick, you see Rob Pelinka, you see Dwayne Wade, you see
Right.
who I'm forgetting a million. Junkyard Dog for all those Raptors fans on our Raptors show was dapping up guys too. So it was just a weird, surreal um event. Mark Tatum was there. Like it felt like everyone, Bobby Marks,
Right.
and then if you're a media person like both of us to some extent,
Yeah, good one.
we saw Bobby Marks, Dave McMenamin, Mark J. Spears. Like it just was a who's who. So it felt like the whole basketball world came. And in a sense, they came to see Canada too. It wasn't just the USA,
Right.
right? If this was Spain, I don't know. I don't know how many, big time reporters and people are coming, but it's because Canada and people know who Shea is, people know who Jamal Murray is, and there's more not, notable players on the team. But just my tangent ending in the fact that it was a pretty who's who event the past couple days, and seeing kind of everyone in the NBA sphere, and we met Shams, which is kind of cool and
Very cool. Yeah.
very cool. But what do you think about just like maybe that it feels as though it's almost demonstrates how far Canada basketball has come, that they're one in the sense with the power of the US.
Yeah, I mean, like the talent and the players that Canada basketball has is gonna drive a lot of that, right? And, the program has to, you know, grow and keep up with that, and they've done that. They've done it really well, especially under Mike Bartlett and his staff since he's come in as a CEO, right? And
Oh yeah, we saw Nick Nurse. Nick Nurse pulled up beside
yeah,
us,
Coach
started
Nurse,
talking to Eric Corrine and some Oren Weisfeld and a bunch of other people. So
right?
yeah, sorry, just Raptors. We have to mention it, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, just the program. We chatted with Dwight Walton a lot tonight, and he gives you the alumni perspective, and just it's great to see him there, and he obviously knows Rowan very well, and Rowan Barrett. Yeah, it's super great to see the program. It's been a long time coming and deserves it. And like I said, the players and the talent that have come out of Canada, in the last 15 years type deal, like they've driven a lot of that, and the program's had to keep up, to elevate itself, and also honor the players and celebrate them too. And so yeah, the few days down here seemed very fitting and very appropriate. I thought it's due for the program, and obviously going into the World Cup last summer, there was a lot of optimism and hope and promise there as well. And I think it's safe to say that the players exceeded that and really just got everyone super excited. So now for this summer, the attention was major. A lot of people obviously came into Vegas for the game from Canada. That was very evident. And, and the players have done a good job of buying in and wanting to do this and promote the program and play for it and support Canada basketball. And, hats off to them too. So it's just, yeah, it's super cool. I think, anyone that's listening and watching, just, if you're doing that, obviously you do care about Canada basketball, and, get excited because, there's a lot of games ahead and a lot of fun. And, I think something special is going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about something special. A medal would be
Right.
pretty cool. And after the game, I was talking to Melvin Edgem a bit, and I'll be writing a story about it. But just you can tell like he's gone through the battles, and he's almost the epitome of what I think a lot of like diehard Canada basketball fans are. We survived,
Right.
and now we're thriving. And even though they lost tonight, I think the bigger picture is where Canada basketball is, and I think we're a powerhouse. We're going to be for the next, at least until LA, probably until 2032. On the men's side, obviously the women have been doing amazing stuff, making 4 consecutive Olympics. And that really, it was just fitting of the night, like even though they lost, and I think we'll get into that a little bit. I think the US played really, really well.
They did.
Like as much as, we can talk about Shea, Jamal, our size, like the US looked like a wagon. They were really after the first 12 minutes,
Right.
they were a wagon. So, sometimes you just lose to a better team on a better night. And I think, as you said, Jordy Fernandez wasn't going at this and trying to coach it like it's game 7 or an Olympic gold medal
Right.
final. He was going at it like a training camp, like a scrimmage. And
Right.
I think you learned, maybe you can't rely on certain guys to kind of carry the offense, like a Lou Dort or Nikhil, that I think we kind of learned about last year, but maybe more cemented. I thought Nemhard was a bit quiet.
Mhm.
Not that he was terrible.
Guys just missed shots tonight.
Yeah,
Like Jamal didn't shoot well, and Nemhard, I think about the success he had in the series against the Celtics,
yeah,
for him and his Pacers. He shot really well in that series, and there was a couple scramble plays where he kind of gets an easy look on from 3 tonight, and he just didn't make them, right? So,
yeah.
like that's
Both
not
teams
gonna
missed
be,
a lot of threes.
yeah,
Like both teams were in the 26. I think Canada was 26%, USA 28%. So, but yeah, I think that second unit missed a lot of open looks, and Jamal Murray missed a lot of open looks.
right,
Yeah, no, but I think that's something that, in time, and also, it's like you're playing the best, in all the little warts, and you're as a team get exposed, and that's good. Would you rather them be exposed now than in a month from now or in 3 weeks? Of course, right? And I think now they play France. I think that will bring a big test as well, with obviously Victor and Gobert, which can be in the sense of kryptonite for this Canadian team lacking size, and then Puerto Rico, which maybe you get to have some fun in it as well. But
right.
I think this team, not like, does anything from this game, do you feel like, oh, has that changed your outlook about this team as a medal contender? I think for me slightly, but still not not dramatically.
No, I think like the way this game unfolded was what I expected, right? And the message of trying different groups was, I know we're hashing that over, but was what was the prerogative, right, for Jordy and his staff. So not nothing surprised me. I did think maybe in stretches it was going to be a little closer.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, and in saying that, that's them maybe wanting to obviously compete and play well and put on a show for the fans, right? And all the Canada basketball fans over there. But no, nothing surprised me, and I don't put a lot of stock into this game tonight, right? Like great
Mhm.
time, super fun. But yeah, I like to in terms of what this game means on the big scale. Like, no, this is not something that everyone needs to put a lot of weight into, right?
I won't lie that I think if they had won, I would say this was our gold medal. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
I'm kidding, but
yeah,
I do feel the one thing I do think you take away from this game to some extent is, Jordy talked a lot about how, like, I can't rely on my starters too much and I can't overwork the guys.
right,
I still think against the best teams, that is what you have to do. But I think what this team has that last year's team doesn't have is they just have even more depth, right? So I think in the group of death, um, even against Spain and Australia, Greece, they can probably live without playing Shane Jamal like 35 minutes, right? And that's a reminder the games are 40 minutes, not 48, right?
right,
So um I think that's where you'll see that more. So at the same time, when they go to the quarterfinals and they're against Wemby, I don't know, or the US or whatever, are you playing Shea less than 35 minutes? I don't know. I think at this point I would believe and hazard the guess that the best course of action would be to play him a lot. But they don't need to do that now. And why the heck would you do that in a
right,
game? And as I said before, Canada starters versus the USA starters, talent wise, yeah, maybe there's a little gap. It's not that big. It's not that crazy. When you go to the bench, it gets much bigger. But the more you keep your starters in for some sort of time, and I think the next thing that we'll probably see is maybe um, rotating the guards,
right.
right? Having Shea, Jamal, and Nemhard having two guys on the court at all times, and rotating in that way. But what did you think about maybe some guys that maybe stood out to you tonight, or and maybe some guys that maybe disappointed?
Um, I wouldn't say anyone disappointed me because I felt like, you know, with the groupings and what Jordy was doing, like I don't think guys really had a chance to get in rhythm. Um, yeah, I feel like, listen, like Kelly played well offensively, made plays, was leading the team at one point, right? And obviously then Dillon too. So, you know, that's always fun to see, but um, no real disappointments. I thought in maybe surprise in a sense, like Andrew Nemhard looked a little, you know, not panicked, but just maybe
The
flu-
level looked a bit.
a little flustered. And but credit to USA too. Like I think they recognize like him there, his addition to the team was you know potentially a key piece
Yeah.
for Canada basketball this summer. So they know how good of a player he is, and they want to get into him and cause some turnovers, right? So I don't think not disappointed, but just they're gonna have to weather some like offensive lulls a little better, right? And
Yeah.
and the shooting efficiency is gonna go up. I think maybe you find you talk about Shea, Jamal, Andrew Nemhard as like your three guard spots. Well, like it doesn't always have to be Shea and Jamal, but it could be Shea Andrew, Jamal Andrew, whatever, right?
Hmm.
But I think we're gonna have to see a lot of minutes with at least two of those three on the floor,
Yeah.
like you stressed, right? And
Yeah.
that was there was situations tonight that was evident. Like it was, we need these guys on the floor. So and it could start right away. The group is a pretty tough group. So in that first game, like um, you got to play your entire group, obviously, but if you feel like you need to win and get a win early, um, to set a tone, you might see the heavy minutes right away for these guys.
Hmm.
There's no game to take off when
No.
these Olympics start. So
But
um,
for me, that's what will be interesting is does he go, our buddy Jonathan Chen wanted Nemhart to start with Jamal and Shea, and I think that's probably a bit too outlandish just with the way basketball is and just their heights because they're essentially all point guards to point guard shooting guards. But um, does Jordy, the strength of his team is the wings and especially the guards. Do you go more just consistently having two guards on the floor all the time? Do you play with one big? They were playing essentially two bigs ish with Lyles and Olynyk or Birch and Lyles, right? A little bit at the end. And then obviously Dwight Powell played really well, I thought, against Embiid, and we'll get to Embiid a bit later. But
right,
will he, let's say the USA in a big game plays what they did today and they put Bam and Anthony Davis and they torch Canada, but it was essentially their second unit. Is that something that Jordy says, okay, I'm going to play Lyles and Powell together or something along those lines to stop that? But then you take off another scorer, ball handler, and maybe an RJ Barrett or Dillon Brooks comes off. And how does so? That's the question for Jordy is how does he manage these rotations? Does he go all in on wings, or does he try to be kind of mix and match a little bit more in terms of depending on the opponent? And if I were him, I would go more depending on the opponent. You play Australia, you play Spain, you're not too worried. Even Greece, I think it's more against those Frances, those Serbias,
right.
where they have that size where you have to be much more mindful of that. Um, but yeah, what did you think of Dillon Brooks tonight? Because it felt as though he came up, felt felt almost as though he was in the Philippines again against the USA back in September of last year.
Hey, listen, if you love Canada basketball and you're listening and watching, like this is a guy you love that he's playing for the program. He just brings like a swagger to the senior men's national team, which is really cool. And he's low key just a really like you know good dude. His teammates love him,
Yeah.
and he's ready to represent. And I think that's all you can ask for. And he's not going to back down from anyone. And he's ready to go. And you know what you're going to get from this guy in effort. every night, right? And
Mhm.
I mean, I will always support that. So that was just cool to see. Pregame as they're warming up, like he just vibing, he's ready to
The
go, and
booze, yeah,
the,
big booze
yeah,
for Dillon Brooks
yeah,
today.
big booze to start the game, and then he gets the first bucket, and he's getting the match up on LeBron James, and he wants that. It's great theater and great energy and attention for the program, and um, he's it drives him too. Like he made some great plays.
Yeah,
He played
yeah.
well. It fueled him. It didn't get into him and bother him. And I think he rallies the guys with that too. And he was massive last summer, as we all know, at the World Cup.
And
And
it felt like that the first quarter, it felt as though, okay, we have FIBA Brooks, and
yeah,
as the team tailed off, he did as well, but he was lights out, and his defense was still good. He got beat a couple times on like a back cut once LeBron got him for a dunk, but he's still such a good on ball defender, and he dribbled himself into traffic a couple times for a turnover too, but the
did he
defense,
do the stare down before the game? I never watched
yeah,
that. Was he doing the stare down there?
not
Okay,
really,
okay,
not really, not yet.
yeah,
That's save it for the Olympics,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
That's what he's doing.
yeah.
And then I think, going from one guy who's a villain sometimes to another guy who can be a villain, though maybe he just likes to foul people. I don't know, but that's Joel Embiid. Got fouled out in 7 minutes. That must be his career high.
Right.
Obviously 5 fouls in FIBA, but still. What did you think of Embiid tonight? Where he really seemed like he was getting in it with other players all the time. He made a couple nice shots. He was obviously noticeable in his 7 minutes, but how weird is it that this guy just loses his cool? And what did Grange say, that the Olympics is 6 single elimination games for Embiid, who notoriously does not play well in elimination games? Well, what do you think was going through his mind tonight when he was just kind of letting loose?
I think we talked about it up in press row watching the game and trying to cover it. Is like, I think in international basketball and FIBA, like this is, a system that you can kind of expose this guy. And FIBA officials are very notorious for not caring about who you are as a player in any kind of
Or the
maybe
rules?
or the rules. but not caring about a player's
Yeah.
status or stature or name, and it's just like, look, this is team game, and so uh, he had some fouls called against him that were easily deserved. I mean, the elbow to the chin of Dwight Powell was blatant. So I don't know what was going on for Joel today, and I think in FIBA teams can um, in some situations attack him and go at him and draw him out. This isn't the NBA where it's some one-on-one ISO stuff for this guy. Uh, so I'm sure the USA is going to look at that, try to figure this out to correct some things for him. And but yeah, he's kind of a villain maybe in a sense for a lot of Canadian fans going back to when the 76ers play the Raptors too, right? So
They should just do, they should get to a close game. Jamal Murray takes that step back, 90 game
I'm here
Olympic
for it.
final.
I'm here for it.
Ball bounces, trickles in,
Right.
takes 4 crazy steps, and then we see Joel Embiid crying to his
Right.
girlfriend. Yeah, no. That would be pretty funny. That would be very poetic. But there is something about Embiid that he memes, but then he doesn't, and he makes jokes about other people, but he doesn't really. It's never really about him. And on that Dwight Powell, I don't know why he was crying for mercy, and it
Right.
you gave him a forearm shiver, and that's a flagrant foul. I don't know what you are complaining about, and then he'll flop and act as if so. Yeah, he's a interesting guy, and him and playoff P are gonna be fun together in many ways. But it's interesting just to see him part of an Olympic, and the fact that he plays for the U.S. is another story that maybe we don't have time for on this podcast, but
I like on the flip side too, how Dwight handled that.
yeah,
Like he got up, he got hit, kind of got jarred a bit and then got up and just being an NBA vet, knowing all these guys and just how Dwight is as a person too, like just not getting too worked up and
he
approach him.
played really well.
He did play well. He knew the tough assignment starting tonight against Joel Embiid, right? And he knew he was gonna have to hang and bang with him there. So I just like Dwight's approach to that situation after he got hit, and how he handled it. I thought, very very pro and
Mhm.
mature and just going like, what are you doing, man? Like that is a foul. Like and I
I'm not
think,
asking for an elbow to the face. Yeah.
that's just yeah, that's making a maybe a statement about the program too. Like Dwight's one of the captains and um, well respected. And I thought good situation, good way of how he handled the situation. So, um, big fan of Dwight Powell.
Yeah. No. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Do we need to become Dwight Powell super fans? I don't know.
No.
As we head off, but just maybe your closing thoughts on a disappointing game, but at the same time, a pretty monumental game in my opinion. Just where um, Canada basketball's here. Canada basketball is going to be there in Paris and going to be. I think they're going to make it to the podium. It's going to be tough, but we finally. I think what I'll remember the most is finally seeing Shea and Jamal on the same court together.
Yeah, I
It's
think this game, that was kind of this signature thing as um, everyone's been wanting this for such a long time. Um, Jamal Murray hasn't played a game with the senior men's national team since 2015, the Pan Am Games, right?
yeah,
So it's been a long time coming, and they've kind of been dubbed the best backcourt in the world, and there was a lot of truth to that. So great to see that finally happen. Um, moving forward, they're going to have to be key. We've harped on it, but um, Shea was so good last summer at the World Cup, just outstanding, and he's gonna Shea's gonna play a lot of minutes, but if some of those minutes aren't so heavy, if Jamal can carry some of that, then I think that's major. So
it,
for the success this summer, and but no, man, just a great time here in Las Vegas. We've had a great few days. Great to cover the team and be at practice and get some content. Uh, have everyone kind of give us time with their thoughts to all the other people in the media that many of the people listening and watching know, and
yeah,
shout out to them, and just a cool experience. And I think the excitement should be really good. And I know first game is July 27th, right, against Australia. So,
yep.
um, or no, winner, no, it's Greece.
No, it's Australia.
Australia, yes,
Yeah, all
yes.
right. He,
My
he
fault.
he doesn't get it
We're
wrong.
running pretty late here in Las
It's
Vegas,
it's,
but
it's midnight as we're recording this, and it's been a long day. So
yeah, just the 27th, everyone will be super excited, and um, I think the program and the senior men's national team is gonna grow a lot here in the next couple of weeks. Just get out of North America, if you will, and get over there and get settled and ready to go. I think that'll be good for them, and um, being around Jordy a little bit these last few days, I've been very impressed with him.
yeah, he's a
Uh,
he,
I think with him as a coach, this group of players is going to have success. I don't feel like it'd be because of Jordy Fernandez at all. I think he's ready to lead them.
yeah.
I really like the way he approaches things and how he's dissecting, what they need to do. So I think um, he obviously was very good for them last summer at the World Cup. I think that continues this summer, and excited to see how they perform.
Yeah, no, it's the best team that's ever been assembled, and you could argue maybe this USA team's up there too,
Right.
for one of the best teams. Like I don't think this USA team they played is I think the team in 16 and 2020 or 2021 wasn't as good as this team. So um, Canada, came. We didn't conquer, but to make a little Euro reference, England always says it's coming home. Well, Naismith basketball was invented in Canada, and I feel like it's coming home. So that's how we're gonna end off on this, late night in Vegas. It's coming home, like our gambling debts.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
right.
exactly. So
Yeah.
thanks so much for guys, for everyone listening and checking this out, and shout out to Matty Ireland. Everyone should check out his podcast. We are going to be on his podcast as well, but Raptors Republic fans, check out Canada Hoops. You've had you want to say some people that you've had on the show and just kind of plug it a little bit before we let
Oh, I
people
mean,
go home?
yeah, if you've checked out Canada Hoops, we've had a lot of people from Canada Basketball join us, from the senior men's team, senior women's, the CEO, Michael Bartlett, lots of other, media people that follow and, support Canada Basketball as well. So, just off the senior men's team that's here in Vegas, obviously Melvin Edgem, super happy for Mel to make the
Yeah.
team. Super, I think that's important. And then Phil and Tommy Scrub from the team, they've joined us, and
Shout out to
hopefully many more in the future.
Tommy Scrub, making a left-handed hook
Yeah,
over LeBron James, Carlton alum here. I am, and who would have thought? Who would have thought?
right.
Not us. So, thanks so much, Maddie, for taking the time. Everyone, check out Canada Hoops, and we'll be talking to you down the line as Canada goes to the Olympics, and we'll be talking some of the women's team when they get back in action shortly soon. So, thanks so much, everyone, and we'll see you soon.